Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of At the Movies with William Fletcher. As usual, I am your host, William Fletcher, and I am joined by Mr. Harry Drobson.
I'm dying.
Again, he's very sick, so he might not talk as much this week, which is a
I
good
thought
thing.
you were doing a
Thank
line from one of
God,
these
thank
films.
God.
Harry is just sick.
And also Barney Metcalf, who joined us for last week's episode as well.
With a lovely bottle of fucking rain to drink.
We are
Delicious.
going to be concluding our Edgar Wright retrospective this week with a discussion on The World's End, Baby Driver, the Sparks Brothers documentary he made, and Last Man Soho, as well as a couple other quick stops at a few other projects that he was involved in. And as I was saying before we started recording, that this is going to be a bit more. We're going to disagree with each other a lot more.
I was going to say we all had a really lovely unity last week, but this week,
yeah,
I think,
and now it's going to be
I think the team's gonna
destroyed.
break up.
Starting off with The World's End, the considered by most to be the weakest of the Cornetto trilogy, which I am in that camp. And I rewatched it. I haven't seen it in a few years, and I definitely thought less of it on this rewatch.
Oh, that's a shame.
That is a shame, because I don't think it's the weakest.
Oh, fucking hell.
I don't think there is a weakest.
Well, I mean, there kind of has to be.
No. I think I'm just gonna come out of the bat swinging, because I'm not gonna pander. I'm too sick to care. This is as good or better than Shaun of the Dead. Simon Pegg's performance in this film is better than any of Hot Fuzz or Shaun of the Dead. I don't think the film is better than Hot Fuzz. I think it's about on par with Shaun of the Dead. But I think his performance in this film is better than in the others. You're drinking fucking rain. Oh, that's so dead. Beat
Yeah, we
that.
can have a tap water.
All right, and then okay, well, this is going to be interesting because I thought, Harry, you'd be on my side, Barney. I know this is your favorite.
Yes, I mean, yeah. Let's punch my cards through the table and make a big statement. Yeah, this is my favorite of the trilogy. I say that as somebody who absolutely loves all three of these films.
Yeah. No, I very much disagree. It feels. Look, I do like the film. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a good film. It's just in terms of its writing and how it's put together as a film, it's much weaker than the other two.
I think it's just different.
Yeah, it's a different.
It feels like a very different film to the other two. I think it's trying to do a bit more than the others ever were.
But I don't think it. Sure, but I don't think it succeeds at doing that. I feel like it wants to go for these sort of big moments and have these sort of themes, but I don't think it quite brings them all together and is able to efficiently and effectively convey them. I think
that there are some bits that don't quite, hold on that, as strong as they could. But I think the vast majority of it works really well.
Yeah, and the final
we'll get to that.
The final message of the narrative as well is something that I think is more like, take Shaun of the Dead, for example. What would you say is the overall meaning? Like, what would you say is the growth part of the film?
I'd say that Shaun. I mean, I view these three films as kind of like a maturing sort of story. Shaun of the Dead is kind of cracking on and starting, doing something with your life. Hot Fuzz is getting used to that and finding comfort in that, and then The World's End is kind of reflecting on all that has come before.
Yeah, see, that's a really good. But in The World's End, he just doesn't grow up at any point. It feels the whole film in The World's End feels like it's supposed to be a coming of age, but the film ends with him going around with younger versions of his mates, still being that boyhood leader. Like, he's someone who peaked in high school, was still a fucking loser back then, and never really progresses. And I think that's hilarious.
I mean, I guess yeah. Let's talk about Gary King, because I think he's
The
kind
goat.
of
The king.
he is the goat. I don't think I've said on this podcast before, but I think Gary King is well, he's my favorite fictional character ever penned. I think there is an immense amount of love in there. I mean, I think even William can agree that Gary King is, pretty good shit.
I mean, I'd say he's the best character of this trilogy, and I think
Absolutely, yeah. No, I
He
think
definitely has the most
of
depth.
Sean, Nicholas, and Gary. Yeah, no, he's by far the most kind of fleshed out, I guess nuanced character.
yeah, I mean, Sean's sort of a very bland character. I guess Nicholas Angel was
Same for
also-
Nicholas Angel. They're both kind of meant to
they're
be.
both very bland.
Sean is a
characters.
void, and Nicholas is just kind of a pewter.
It's also really lovely to see Nick Frost not be literally the fucking human baby for once. Like, I love being able to see Nick Frost's character not be the zombie, not be the child
Yeah,
that
I really like that they kind of swap
rolls. Yeah,
sort of character archetypes that they do. At this time, Simon Pegg is the idiot loser, whereas Nick Frost is the one trying to
he's the one drinking
move forward
fucking
and
rain.
be a proper human being.
I'm sorry, I'm obsessed with that line. It's so good though. Like, I think it might be the best line of the trilogy. That,
Drinking
or did you
fucking
tell
rain.
him? That, or did you tell him to cool off? No,
God
shame.
damn it, Harry.
Oh, tell me a
Shame.
better
Hell,
line
Harry.
in the film.
Oh.
That of you've never taken a shortcut before, but I don't know if that's
Not-
the line. or
Every
if it's
Simon
the scene.
Skinner line.
I didn't even get that in this film.
There's so many better lines than. Oh, Jesus Christ, Harry.
I don't know. I feel like this film never got the sort of iconism. Is that a word? The
Iconography.
Icon.
Yeah, like it never became what Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead was. It always just was, oh, that's the third one.
No.
Like, that being said,
No, a lot of times,
definitely
oh,
think
Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz and The World's End.
and a lot of, like, the biggest argument I hear from people as well is like, oh, it's just aliens, really? And I'm like, in what fucking world is that different to zombies or granny cults called the NWA?
Is that any more ludicrous than, like, a group of, like, septuagenarians in the neighborhood watch killing people for stupid reasons?
I've had
haven't
my
actually-
piece with it. I'd love to hear William crack on. Tell me why it's trash.
And tell us why we're wrong. And then we'll correct.
I think, first of all, performance-wise, outside of Simon Pegg, all these actors are far more capable of better performances. None of them are bad. It's just I genuinely think they are capable of a lot.
I think Nick Frost is very good, but yeah, I'll agree that I don't think anyone else is really, knocking anything out.
I mean, we've got Paddy Considine, he's just not. I mean, Martin Freeman, I've always found. I like Martin Freeman, but he's very bland. I don't know what the fuck is Eddie Marsan. Like, why is he a thing?
This is the question that we've been asking for years. What is Eddie Marsan? But I think he makes sense in this film. This is the sort of film that I expect him to be in.
But he's kind of shit though.
But then I rewatched Mission Impossible 3 the other day, and I forgot he was in it. And there's like a bit at the start of that film where it's like, oh, look at the end of the film, then we'll go back to the start, and Eddie Marsan's there. I was like, what?
The thing about Eddie Marsan is he's become like, not like he's not like a major star or anything, but he's like, he's in things, and he does well.
He's in a hell of a lot of kind of big films.
Yeah, and he's like what's his fucking name? What's his name? I gotta look his because I don't want to say the wrong name, and I say the wrong. Andrew Scott, the fucking hot priest
Moriarty
from Fleabag. Like, he's become a big, like, people love Andrew Scott, and I just don't get it because I think he's shit, and I think Eddie Marsan is also kind of shit, and I don't know how he's
shit. I think he's just got enough
just don't know
range
how.
to be playing the roles that he's in.
I just don't know how he's become like a thing, and I don't know how Andrew Scott became a thing, because I also don't think he's worth that much as an actor. I don't think he does anything.
I'm honestly surprised that the cast member we're talking about the most is Eddie Marsan.
I don't get him. I don't know how he's become.
I don't either.
Yeah, I mean, again, Rosamund Pike. Again, I've seen much better work. Like, she's capable of a lot more.
It's not really a role that asks very much, and I think part of maybe why the performances aren't quite doing it for you is because, you know, I guess characters maybe don't have as much to do, but you know, I've got reasons as to why I think that.
I mean, I've seen a lot of complaints about Edgar Wright's films and the way he writes female characters, and I think Harry and I have talked about sort of similar stuff with Nolan.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't think with something like Nolan, though, his films are they're not really character pieces. Like, whereas I feel like Edgar Wright is more
weirdly Oppenheimer was,
but yeah.
But I think I think Edgar Wright is doing more character-based work.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of people. I mean, you hear a lot of people argue that Edgar Wright is style over substance. Which
I think he's a beautiful combination of style and substance.
I agree that
I think this film's got mad style. I think
that he is one of the better combinations of style and substance. But if you take something like, you can see where one sort of flips into the other. We'll get into when we get into Last Night in Soho, but yeah, like I understand where it. And again, when you talk about female characters, I think Baby Driver is sort of the film to talk about that in. We'll get into like we can get into. I feel like Baby Driver is sort of the film to talk about more with female characters, although.
Yeah. I feel like that's much. Yeah. I feel like we'll have some thoughts about that. Yeah, I just think The World's End. I think the problem is as a writing, because I think Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz are such tightly written films with like so much love and care put into them. Whereas The World's End sort of feels like they're just like, oh fuck, we're gonna do that third one so we could complete the trilogy. Here's the fence gag again. God, I forgot the cornetto. Let's just have like wrap it. You know, it feels lazy. Isn't the word I want to use. It just does. It just feels a bit rushed, and like they didn't take the same amount of time to lovingly make the film and write it and put it together as a complete whole.
That's crazy.
In a way that I think Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead.
Okay. Like I understand it. I understand where you're coming from. Like certain perspectives, yeah, the whole Cornetto thing. But I feel like if anything, that signifies a bit more of the end of the. I don't feel like this wasn't as meticulously planned out as the other two. I feel like this was. I just feel like people just didn't receive it as well because it was vastly different to the first two. Even though the first two are different films, the characters are similar. I feel like it evokes a different feeling when watching the film, but I don't feel like it in any way. When I watch the film anyway, it doesn't feel rushed or anything. I mean, the numbered bars, the King's Head, like I don't know. I really enjoy.
No, I'm not saying that. I mean, that might be true for some people that they didn't like it because it was sort of a bit more different to the others. I honestly think this is not. I'm not saying this was what happened, but it does really feel of like. Yeah, we've got to make this third one, and we're gonna do it, and we're gonna put in all the things that people like. It's like gonna tell you the whole plot of the film straight up front, all the bars names, all have got meanings and everything. But it just doesn't. There's just the care that was put into the first two feels like.
I disagree. I disagree. I mean, I'm gonna say that a lot on this film, but. I think there's a hell of a lot of, love and care put into this one, and I think that is because it is a much more I guess personal story. A lot of it is a lot of Gary King's kind of behavioural tendencies are heavily based on Simon Pegg's alcoholism life. I think it's inherently a much more it's lovingly made film than the others in a weird way. The disdain in your voice.
Well, the only thing I have to say to you, William, is ratio, dude.
It just felt like, well, first of all, I don't, because it's still a comedy, but it does feel like it's a bit lacking in that sort of.
I think it's a very funny film. I mean, fucking Rain.
Fucking Rain.
That whole thing to do with pronouns. I don't even know what a pronoun is. You just use one. Did I? Yeah, it is a pronoun. What is? It is. Is it? Christ. It's a brilliant comedy exchange.
Yeah.
Also, just little things like Nick Frost's drunken laugh and smashing his hand through a window.
Yeah. I think it has a bit more of
it's not as overtly comedic as Sean or Hot Fuzz, but it's there.
It's no falling through a fence or leaving frame in a funny way, but it's...
I don't know, there is a bit of that. Simon Pegg dives through a window.
Yeah. I think to say that this is the worst of the trilogy would be doing it a massive injustice.
I think this film deserves to be as fondly loved as the other two.
I think a lot of people go into the trilogy with rose-colored glasses because The World's End was never reached the heights that Sean and Hot Fuzz did. That when they watch it, they're like...
It had an expectation that the other two didn't, because it was like, oh, it's the third film in this unofficial trilogy.
Yeah. I give it like a 9.
Yeah, obviously, Sean have that.
I also feel like the sort of character, sort of like the whole Nick Frost sort of relapsing into alcoholism. I feel like that's not really. I feel like there's a lot of stuff here that I could really like, but I just think as a writing, like it just Nick Frost's character sort of relapsing and drinking again. That just doesn't feel quite earned enough for that.
I don't know, mate. If I'd fought 5 teenage robots full of blue stuff in the bathroom with my mates from 20 years ago, I think I'd probably get on the drink as well.
Yeah, I might have a cold one or two.
Well, that sounds
just knock back 5 shots.
Because I
mean, hey, we just have different ways of coping, all right?
Yeah, I think like
I'll just repress. I think severely just repress.
You definitely should. No. Oh, that's terrible. I'm sorry, William. I don't know.
Welcome to At the Therapists with
repress your emotions. Be a man. Just repress. Just don't acknowledge your emotions. If you're a man, you can't do that. Just don't ever talk about them.
It's not ridiculous. Ever. It's not ridiculous to say that. It is. This film's a 9. It's hard to put into words because my brain isn't functioning properly. It rarely does it, but I think right now specifically, this film, it's a 9 or whatever I gave Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, it was a 9. You gave it like a 9.5.
All right, well this is 9.5. Actually, to appease William, 9.49.
I just fucking Christ. I just think this film, and there's just the whole I also don't really find the sort of banter and the sort of dynamics between the gang to really work. Like, I know the whole thing, like, I haven't seen each other in years, but there still isn't any chemistry anyway, and I feel like there kind of should be like a little bit of something, and it just doesn't quite like when
I think there are like in bits where they're talking about Rosamund Pike's character in the second pub. I think there's plenty of banter and connection there. I think that bit, in those early pubs, I think we do get a couple of nice moments of, oh yeah, haven't seen each other in a while, and they are kind of going back to what it used to be when they were younger. I think there's plenty of nice stuff in there.
I don't know.
I agree.
I also I don't hate the film. I just think, considering what they could have done with it, I think there's like, I expected a bit more from it.
Just from
And
curiosity, what sort of thing would you change to make it work for you more?
I f-
Yeah, what would you
like
do with?
I feel like it doesn't. I think I do feel like the film is a bit like, they do the fence gag and they do the cornetto thing, but they just feel very tacked on elements to me. It's like, so if this wasn't connected to the
I mean,
cornetto
yes,
trilogy,
but let's face it, these films aren't made on, people don't come to these films to watch, someone have a cornetto or jump over a fence.
no, I'm not saying they do. I just think it feels like, and I think if you are following up Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz with this film, I feel like it just needed to be to just be better. To be honest, I think.
But how could it be better?
I think having those sort of, you have those sort of five main characters plus Rosamund Pike, and none of them really feel like, only Gary King is the only developed character. You don't really get a sense.
I think Andy's very developed.
Well, yeah, he's more developed than the others. So if it was just Simon Pegg and Nick Frost and maybe one other,
I
I think.
wanted to get into this. I think it works that the others are all a bit similar, because that kind of plays into this film, the theme of assimilation and becoming part of a bigger thing and kind of losing a bit of humanity in doing so. It's very similar things.
Also, just would love to mention, in the end of the film, this might have one of the funniest endings of the three films. Where he's where it's like, there's just no fucking talking with you, like the like, where he's arguing with like the what is it? Is it the alien overlord? Like, it's been like,
oh right, the network.
Yeah, the network.
Bill Nye, fucking lamp.
Yeah. God, that's my favorite exchange of dialogue, I think, in the.
I long to tell somebody to get back in their rocket and fuck off back to Legoland, you cunt.
It felt that.
All right, yep.
That moment felt very like, I didn't need the like bit at the opening where it's the whichever movie that is, where it's like
we're gonna be free. Come on.
Yeah, I didn't need that. That just felt too on the nose. That just was like, okay.
I mean, yeah, no, I'll say I feel like that's a bit, but
like that.
I guess you can read it as Gary King having been like, oh, I've heard this clip in the Primal Scream song, and therefore I'm going to quote it. I do agree that bit does feel a bit, like it's a bit jarring, but I don't mind it.
And I just find
while we're on that final confrontation, actually, I really like that the film, like, it's going really big up until that point where Gary King just kind of snaps and starts running from pub to pub, chugging pints and carrying on, and then it goes really small again, and it's basically just a conversation. I think that's I really like that
pace really well.
Because I remember when I first watched it, I was expecting some big, final fight or something, and then it's just basically an argument. And I think it's a great scene. You may think Gary is a bit of a cock, and he's a bit of a cock, but he's my cock.
Yeah. I do find also that the film very much, the sort of action sequences, I do like the one where they're all like, there's the 10 of them in the
that first one in the toilet.
In the toilet, yeah. Like, I think that's great.
Great.
And then after that, it's just sort of like, oh, okay, it's a sort of a bit diminishing returns. It's just sort of like, okay.
I think each of those subsequent fights are doing something different. You get the twins with like the legs on their arms and stuff. It's definitely a visually interesting thing to do. And then the next, I guess, fight they have is just an all-out brawl. Yeah.
Yeah, but you can only watch sort of mindless action for so long before you're just
And it
or
doesn't
I
last that long.
yeah, I was kind of like, okay, I get the point. Can we just move on? I
You
felt this
you
film
didn't like
did
the choreography at all? Really well choreographed.
it's fine. It's like Kingsman, where it's like I can appreciate
Yeah,
that
but
on
there's
a
a better
technical
director
level.
behind it.
It's
I mean,
yes,
it was the person that did the fight choreography stuff for Kingsman in this film, I believe. I think it was the same guy. But Edgar Wright is just
yeah.
better at making those kind of long take action sequences than Matthew Vaughn is.
Mm. But it was yeah. I just think it's kind of is like it's too much. Like I think whereas like Hot Fuzz, I think is a very well choreographed sort of film in its action sequences. Whereas I feel like The World's End is a bit more like just I don't know the way the camera moves and the way it sort of goes through the scenes. It's just like it doesn't look quite real enough. It looks like it's an
There are maybe
it's
one or two
overly
moments where I can be like, okay, cut there. But even the other bits where I'm like, okay, there's probably a cut there. I think it blends really smoothly.
I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about the ending with Gary in the bar at the end because it's like he's just doing the whole thing again, and I mean, I believe that's the intended point that he hasn't really sort of grown and changed as a character, but it
Um,
feels like
no, I think it feels like he's got a healthier connection with the past now. 'Cause I mean, I guess there's not really anything else to do in the post-apocalypse, so he's doing what he loves, and he's not having to drink all the time. He's in a better place, definitely. I think he's got a healthier relationship with nostalgia.
I just don't think the
I
ending
I, I do I sort of get what you're
quite.
getting at, and that it's a bit kind of muddled, and it sort of comes down as
It
like,
feels like he's sort of falling back into old ways, and it's almost like he hasn't really grown that much beyond the fact that he's drinking water instead. But he's still trying to sort of relive his past glories, and I don't think maybe I'm misinterpreting it, but it feels like it's trying to. The film is, from my perspective, portraying that as a good thing, and I don't I don't and that sort of feels like that goes sort of against what the whole film up until that point had been saying.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't feel like he really progresses much as a character. I feel, and also you mentioned he was drinking water. He was drinking fucking rain. Um, but yeah, I don't feel like he progresses much. Like I still really enjoyed the movie, but I enjoy it for the fact that I don't think he doesn't resolve his character at all. Like yeah, he drinks rain water. Sorry, I'm just gonna call it rain. Yeah, the world sort of shapes. He doesn't have to change who he is because the world changes around him to accommodate the fact that he still wants to hang around with his boyhood mates.
they say, like earlier in the film, I think Nick Frost says, the town hasn't changed, we have changed, and it's like, oh no, the town has changed.
Yeah,
And that Gary King is just this perpetually, unchanging persona.
Also, we haven't really touched on the fact that it's implied that Gary tried to kill himself. Like that's a very very
Yeah,
dark and very
big reveal.
raw moment.
yeah. This film deals with mental health a
I
lot.
think suicide is often very poorly handled in fiction.
Yeah, it
Um,
feels a bit. You've seen 13 Reasons Why, haven't you?
I mean, it's one of the most insulting things I've ever seen.
Yeah, I've never seen it, but isn't
I've,
it just like
I've only seen the first season and a few from season 2, but I want to watch it
what's
more.
like a girl? What is it? I know it's about like teenage suicide or something like that.
Yeah,
Or...
a girl kills herself and she sends tapes around to like 13 people that are like, "You're the reason I killed myself."
Oh, that just feels very gross. That
Yeah,
Yeah,
feels
it
very
is.
ethically wrong.
It's just the first season's just like 13 episodes of, oh, that'll show them if I kill myself. Oh, hello, I don't know why I'm going northern, but
That feels very exploitative and
yeah.
very like
Oh yeah, no,
ethically
it
wrong.
is. It's not well done.
And I think yeah,
But here, I think that's
portraying,
I think it's
I
very
think portraying
well.
suicide is a very difficult line
Yeah,
to because it's like it can
because I
so
think
easily
often the case is.
go over the line and
Yeah, I
just
think
be
so often when it comes to suicide and things, they'll just be like, "Ah, shit, we don't really know what else to do with this character. Oh well, I guess they kill themselves," which is
yeah,
a bit of oh, okay, we're just using suicide as a writing tool now, are we? Okay,
yeah,
fine.
uh, yeah. But I think The World's End does about as good a job as I think you could do with that kind of.
Yeah, because it doesn't in any way, watching the film knowing that Gary King tried to kill himself, it shines a different light on everything, and that there's a tragedy to the whole thing that. I mean, actually, it's not just the theory. I think Edgar Wright has said that Gary King's plan was to try and kill himself again at the end of completing the Golden
Yeah,
Mile.
yeah. I mean, that's why he was drinking the 12 pints, right? To just
Yeah,
die.
he wants to go out in a blaze of glory, and that's why I love Gary King so much because he is just this beautifully tragic figure. And
Relatable.
William, reach out, listeners. The hotlines will be in the description.
No, I was saying you find him relatable. That's why.
Oh yeah, no, that kind of not being sure if like maybe thinking have I peaked at this point in my life? I don't know. And just kind of being unsure of what to do with yourself. I guess Gary King that kind of manifests as he decides he's got nothing to really go with, and he tries to kill himself. And I think that's a very. I mean, this is where it gets slightly less relatable with me, but I think that's a very real reason for someone to try and take their own life.
Mm.
I think this film handles that sort of thing really well. I think it's a very well documented portrayal of these sorts of things. I mean, one of the little things I think just is like you think, oh, funny Gary King, and then rewatching it, you're like, oh, that's actually really tragic. When it's the third pub, the one he's barred from, he sees like 3 partially drank pints outside, and he necks those, and then onto the next pub, and that that's a fucking that's fucking sad, dude.
Yeah, the whole film is recontextualized. Like, there's the bit where they're all showing their scars.
Yeah. Oh, I really like that scene. I love a good bit of paranoia. That kind of. I think we mentioned last week. It's sort of invasion of the body snatcher stuff. And yeah, we get
That is true. Yeah.
They all show each other their scars to prove that they are a human being, and Gary King does not want to show his arm.
Yeah, to touch on the sort of body snatcher stuff, that's the kind of story that I really connect with and really get a lot out of.
It's one of my favorite little subgenres of horror.
It didn't feel quite as effective in this film for me personally.
Oh yeah, it's not the greatest portrayal of this story type I can think of, but I think it does it solidly well.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I've given my piece on this.
Yeah, no.
Film. Just one more thing. Pierce Brosnan is in it. Your is he your favorite? Actually, I don't think I know this. Is Pierce Brosnan your favorite Bond, or are you?
I don't really know.
Well, because I'm a Daniel Craig man. Because, well, I can't like Sean Connery anymore. Bit
you can like some of it,
I can like, not the bits where he turns a gay woman straight. I can't like that. Don't like
That's
that.
Our hero, boys and girls.
And yeah, no, but I like Pierce Brosnan. I mean, Pierce Brosnan again is a very he's fine.
He's never.
I feel like he does kind of
outstanding.
He just sort of does the same thing. I feel like Pierce Brosnan is just
certainly nowadays he's just kind of goes around being sort of Pierce Brosnan.
Maybe you shouldn't be swimming here.
Swimming.
Never know. I don't know what the line is.
That's sorry. Oh, that's a line from another podcast.
Yeah, what's that? I don't even
It
know
was-
what film that's from. There's a bit where he just yells.
Yeah, no, yeah, maybe you shouldn't be living here in Chaffin. Yeah. Oh, Brosnan.
I give The World's
kind of-
End an 8, and that's a bump down from a 9. So
Oh dear. I'm trying to do Pierce Brosnan, but I don't know how you do it. Is that what he's kind of sounds like he's far away. I'm slowly drifting into Paul McCartney, but I mean, I hate to hear that, William. Yeah, that breaks my heart.
Yeah, you go from Pierce into Paul into Kermit.
Man, I'm really freaking sad to hear that you bumped the movie down. No, I think that's a great shame.
Oh, Miss Piggy. That
Oh, Miss Ginger, no. But you know, William, you're going to be very upset with me. I'm bracing for your.
If I recall
tone of
correctly,
disdain.
this is your. Is it your second favorite film, or is
See,
that
this is my
changed?
second favorite film of all
You
time.
fucking heathen!
I'm gonna pile on top here and piss William off. 10 out of 10, no regrets.
That's valid.
You-
Valid.
You fucking. Oh no! What is?
No.
Oh no! So, Baby Driver is the next film on
Oh
our sort of-
baby, Driver.
This is an interesting one because I feel like a lot of people love this film.
Do
You don't? Question mark?
I do, but it's like the 5th best Edgar Wright film. Like,
somewhat.
Oh,
I
yeah, no,
take
it
the-
is
I-
fifth best. Yeah.
Of
But
his
a lot
proper
of people-
narrative films, yeah, it's his weakest one.
I feel like a lot of people love Baby Driver, but then don't love his other films, and I find that very
Yeah, I think that's bizarre.
Yeah, a lot of people, this was
because
the
this
intro.
is. and
Yeah,
I'm
no,
just like,
this is when he
you-
started being
yeah.
a proper name.
He became a big Hollywood director. You know, he was like he was working within the Hollywood sort of because before that, I feel like he was a bit more like the Cornetto trilogy was much the first 20 were like British productions.
Yeah, and then like Scott Pilgrim was a
a
Canadian film.
Canadian film. The World's End was sort of still in that early stuff, but Baby Driver was like this was like it was Oscar nominated.
He's
for
made
a
enough,
couple things.
you know, well-made quality films that he was able to really go mental with some money.
Yeah, and I definitely first of all, I don't think we're ever getting that sequel.
I don't want a Baby Driver 2. Why? Don't do it.
Because
Again,
Kevin
Toddler
Spacey
Driver.
got cancelled,
Make-
and
apparently he was
Ansel Elgort
acquitted
got
of all
Don't
cancelled.
make me make the Babe Driver joke again.
Toddler Driver.
Yeah, so I mean, to be fair, Kevin Spacey is killed off, so he wouldn't need to be brought back anyway. But Ansel Elgort also got cancelled. So, do you really want to make a film with Ansel Elgort anymore?
Yeah.
Like, do you?
I think just
Because-
he should just double down and have Kevin Spacey show up like a Force Ghost.
Yeah,
Ansel
I like Baby
Elgort.
Driver. Yeah, Ansel Elgort. Controversial. I don't think he's that great, to be honest. I remember when I
Who's in
saw
the
West
film?
Side Story, I was like, oh, he's the worst part of West Side Story. It's like because I thought Rachel Zegler was very good, and then I was like, Ansel Elgort, you're not that good, mate. Yeah, he's fine. Yeah, Lily James is sort of the female lead, and I think this is a bit more of a
I
justifiable.
see what they're getting at when they're saying that she's female characters are a bit vacant.
Because she kind of is.
She's just
She's
kind of
not-
like, oh, I'm like, this is Southern girl. Oh, let's get in the car and drive away from some police. And oh my
I
God, it's
listen to
John
all this
Hamm. I
old
turned
school
into
music.
fucking Cleveland Brown.
And it's my hand to slow.
Oh, Peter.
Hey, Peter.
Peter.
Uh,
John Hamm.
yeah. Then we've got Kevin Spacey again, everyone's
Spacey,
favorite. Kevin Spacey. Look, I don't.
Fucking Flea
look,
is in
Kevin
this
Spacey.
movie, by the way.
Yeah.
Plays No Nose.
Look, Kevin Spacey, right? He's a great actor. Like I can't pretend he's not. But again, I just don't. I
Unfortunately,
don't
he has
think he's
other
doing
hobbies.
much in this. Yeah, young men clearly.
What do you like to do,
I mean,
Kevin?
although they did not find him guilty, which to be fair doesn't mean he didn't do it.
I was going to say, OJ was found not guilty.
OJ. Oh, I mean, OJ obviously did that shit. Yeah, there's also John Hamm.
Jonathan Hamm.
Yeah, again, bit problematic, just a little bit.
Oh yeah, no, he's got some funny stuff, doesn't he?
He's got some skeletons in his closet.
This cast is,
This is a very problematic cast.
it's
Jamie
like the
Foxx.
Suicide Squad.
Yeah, you got Jamie Foxx, also a bit problematic. Like, all these actors are so problematic. It's unbelievable.
Jamie Foxx did.
There was some anti-Semitic stuff that he allegedly said recently.
Oh, Jamie.
Then John Bernthal, I think he's fine, maybe. He does have like a pro-police podcast or like pro-military podcast, which is not...
okay.
I mean, it's been...
Is he in the military?
No. I just think
he just seems like somebody who would have...
He just has a podcast, I believe, that is like... He gets like military, like soldiers and that on his podcast, and
unironically sings
bit of Joe Rogan about it.
Yeah, but less conspiratorial. There's also Isa Gonzalez, who's the other woman,
the other robber people.
And then I mean that's kind of it. There's not.
Flea.
There's also the
Eddie No-Nos, Flea.
I don't know who the fuck is Flea.
How dare you? My favorite, one of the greatest bassists of all time in my favorite band of all time, the Red Hot Chili Peppers. He is the bassist. His name's Flea. Okay, you best get to know him because he's the greatest bassist ever. Besides, like Les
he's
Claypool.
in Back to the Future.
He calls himself Flea.
That's why he's in Back to the Future.
He's in two of them. He's also in Inside Out, which was always weird to me.
Who's in Inside Out? I have
he plays a mind. He plays one of the brain workers. Like the guy who like vacuums up the ball. He's not like an actor. Like he's in films, but he's not really like.
He's not an actor, yeah.
He's primarily a bassist.
Well, okay. When did you guys first see this film? I'm curious.
Like the year it came
out. I think I would have seen this 2020, like just before COVID. Yeah, like
I believe I remembered seeing trailers and stuff for this film, and I was
definitely aware of this film when it came out. I believe
maybe I'll see that.
Dad saw it.
I thought maybe I'll see that in the cinema, but I didn't.
So when I was like 2018.
Yeah, and I think I saw it 2018, 2019, I think. And I remember I didn't think that much of it.
I bloody
2018 I saw it. And I'd seen all of Edgar Wright's other films at that point. So going into that, I was slightly disappointed by it. I thought it was good. I didn't particularly love it.
I think just from a...
And it's only since I've seen it again a few years ago that I came round to it a bit more.
I think like you got to look at some of the long take shots. Like Fast and Furious have made 10 movies, and not one shot is as good as any practical shot in this film. Some like
those shots last like less than 10 seconds.
Basically, this film it should be this is what filmmakers that are doing car stunts should look at. Okay,
like
this is how
you don't get this kind of filmmaking anymore for like these kinds of action films. It's just like quick cuts, like it's like 10 cuts a second. Like it's that kind of thing of like you cannot figure out what the fuck is going on. Like, but with this, like even beyond the car stuff, like there's that great one take where Baby goes to like the coffee shop or wherever he goes. Like,
and the lyrics are graffiti.
The song are like happening or graffitied.
Yeah, it's great.
I mean,
I appreciate it.
I think this is but basically, to give my rating, I'd give it an 8.5. But I think it's an 8 out of 10 film with like an extra point because it's directed very well.
I also think it does bring in a little bit of comedy in there, which isn't really prevalent throughout the film.
It's not it's less of an... It's not as obviously a comedy
he's straight away
everything Edgar Wright had done prior.
Although I do quote on a semi-regular basis, not groovy, JD, not groovy at all.
I think probably my favorite bit in the whole film was when they get the Mike Myers masks.
That's the best bit.
That's obvious to me, but I do like it.
I think
also my favorite out of context clip, just some lights turning on and Kevin Spacey saying bananas.
There's also the sound. We didn't really touch on the soundtrack in The World's End.
It's another great soundtrack, quality bangers from the 90s.
curated soundtrack for this film as well, because that's just what Edgar Wright does. He just curates soundtracks for all his films.
I mean, I think that this film, more than anything he's done before, I mean, I think in the script or at the start of the film, it says this film is driven by music.
Yeah.
Which, puns.
Yeah.
And yeah, pretty much every scene is constructed around some sort of music.
Yeah.
Some of them work, I feel like, and some less. I feel like, I don't know, I feel like as sort of time has gone on with his films, I think like Shaun of the Dead is expertly crafted. Like the songs are all used so perfectly, and and as he's made more and more films, I'm not saying that they aren't made well. It's just it feels like he's more just sort of picking. I don't know. It doesn't feel as well like the songs with the scenes don't feel as well put together.
Yeah, it's just kind of here's a quality song. I'll just put that in the scene and work around it.
And it sort of vaguely connects to this scene,
I think
I think that's generous. I don't know what the fuck tequila's got to do with them buying arms.
I don't know. I really enjoy when you talk about music in this film. A big theme is the fact that he's a sampler. Yeah. He likes to sample different music, and the entire soundtrack of this film are songs from famous samples that are the actual just the song. It's like you'll hear a song and you're like, oh, so this is going to be Still Dre, and it's not. Like, because you hear the initial sample and you go, oh, okay. But it's not that, it's also the fact that he samples from his speech. A lot of the things he says, he hears from other people because he's a sampler.
Oh, so yeah, no,
like into his own dialogue.
He's like flicking through TV channels and he'll like, sees a bit of Fight Club, he sees a bit of Monsters Inc.
Yeah.
You and I are a team.
Yeah,
Stop throwing Monsters Inc. at me.
I don't know. I really like that.
This is also the Edgar Wright film that sort of broke the Oscars just a little bit. It got 3 nominations for editing, sound editing, and sound mixing. I mean, sound editing, sound mixing, who cares? Because it's like, well, editing is creating the sounds, mixing is like putting them all together. But it should just be one category, because which it is now, because nobody knows the difference. And best editing, and it didn't win any of those, because why would it? To be fair, I mean, it lost sound editing and mixing and editing. It lost them all to Dunkirk, which is just this is like, really, that's the film, because it's a big war film, and that's how that works.
Okay. It's weird. I mean, I really like Baby Driver, but I don't actually have that much to say on it. I think it's a very good film. Basically, a lot of what I get out of it is just direction and music stuff, which I think as well.
I think it's a well-directed movie, and it's well put together.
It's far from his best script, though. I'd say that.
I don't really think of it as a
more of a
script-driven
kind of
film, though.
It's a less interesting. Oh yeah, no,
it feels like it's more of a directed film than a written film.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's more of a technical exercise because the script isn't anything. The story isn't anything particularly new and groundbreaking.
This is style. This is style.
Yeah, this is style. Yeah, Harry Styles.
Yeah, and you motherfucker, and the love story just feels a bit like, look.
I was gonna say they talked 3 times in a diner and she's ready to go on the road.
Look, I get that both of them are far prettier than I am. Still, I don't buy that a relationship just forms over a handful.
So they went on one date, and he's been in the diner she works in twice or 3 times, and the 3rd time he shot a man.
Yeah,
but
that's ordering from the kids menu.
That's the way to a woman's heart, young boys. You'll learn this, but you take her on 3 dates. You take her to the finest wining and dining.
Yeah,
you take her to the fucking laundry mat, and then you shoot someone right in front of her, and that's how you get a wife. And she'll be waiting for you 5 years after prison. She'll be waiting for you.
She's committed. Yeah, she commits.
No, what you do is you pull a Joaquin Phoenix and Joker and just shoot Robert De Niro on a talk show. That's what you should do. I just thought, because there's a bit where he's ordering from a kids menu, and it just makes me think of that fucking moment in Afterlife where Ricky Gervais fucking is ordering from a kid's menu and he wants fucking fish fingers. And it's just like, you're such a fucking cunt, mate.
See,
Like,
my
no
mind
fucking-
went to what didn't Ansel Elgort get in trouble for, like something with minors?
Yeah, he was dating a minor.
That's why he was ordering off the kids menu. Was for
Although
her.
it's a bit iffy because, but that situation's iffy because I think they were in New York and I think it's technically legal there. Maybe
It's fucking
Or
wild.
Like, oh, in that case, it's fine.
Did you hear
I
that
mean, I
Kevin
think
Spacey
it's
was acquitted
ethically-
of all charges? That he was found proven innocent?
I think that's what we should do more Kevin Spacey defending.
Yeah,
What a great
being said
man.
even if he was legally found innocent, which I think he was, the guy creeps me the fuck out. Like,
Kevin Spacey.
yeah, I don't like the guy.
I think, yeah, I'm saying this as a big, like, it puts a whole different spin on American Beauty. Well,
Oh, yeah.
it puts a slightly different spin. If it was a young man, like if it wasn't Minas Fire, if it was like a young man, then it would definitely be like, okay, I can't enjoy this film anymore.
Yeah,
I mean,
no.
I think American Beauty is a great film. It just is so awkward watching that again because it's like, oh,
watching
was
that
around
bit
that
where
time
it goes
we-
full Austin Powers and like Kevin Spacey looks like he's being sucked off by that weird kid.
that is such a broad comedy moment in like a serious Best Picture winning Oscar drama. Like
Yeah.
it's such a weird
Incredible
moment.
scenes.
It's so weird, and like I like American Beauty. I think it's a great film.
I like
I can see
it.
why some don't because it's definitely like.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
It's aged like ham out in the sun. It's gone bad.
I mean, I'm able to separate art from the artist because I just kind of have to because I feel like you have to do that with like most pieces of media.
You just have
be
to do
honest.
that with
Like,
specifically Kanye West.
yeah, there isn't much to say on Baby Driver.
Yeah,
It doesn't
I'm
have-
happy if we
I give it
put
an
the
8
child to bed.
out of 10.
Yeah. That's solid. As I said before, 8 out of 10 film that's boosted by some direction and shit.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's an 8.
Yeah, and Edgar Wright, please don't make a sequel.
Oh,
I don't know
yeah,
if to be fair, I don't know if he would just because of the controversies around it and around Ansel Elgort. I read an
Yeah.
article from a woman who was basically blaming Edgar Wright and saying like he knew about that stuff with Kevin Spacey and Ansel Elgort. It's like, I can't believe there's like I feel like there's no way he would.
Again,
Like
you can you can make a sequel. You just have to recast. You got Adam Driver, Jimmy Carr.
Oh, that's a good one.
Is that because he's got R in his name?
Car? His last name Car?
Yeah,
Vin
Funny.
yeah, it's like an 8.
Oh,
So
God.
Last Night in actually Sparks Brothers or
Oh,
whatever. I don't
Sparks
know.
The
Brothers.
Sparks Brothers documentary. I've really got nothing to say on this. I'm
I
not
don't
familiar with
either.
Sparks. I've not really
Um,
listened to much of. I've heard like a few of their songs from Annette, and that's it.
Oh, yeah.
I
Adam
have
Driver
no-
going down on a woman.
Yep, while singing,
Oh, yeah. Incredible.
he can do anything. That man can really do anything.
Unstoppable. I mean,
feel like-
I was aware of Sparks Brothers, or Sparks rather. I've really just changed the subject a bit there, but I thought I'd get back on track. I was aware of them, so I think this popped up on Amazon Prime at some point late 2021 or something, whenever it came out.
Yeah,
So I whacked it on, enjoyed it. I think it's very good.
yeah. I think I found
Probably
it
never watch it
online.
again, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'll probably never watch it again. I found
I
I found
like
it online.
we get Nick Frost and Simon Pegg doing Beatles impressions at one point.
I give the Sparks Brothers a 7. It's a fairly inoffensive film, but I have no interest in the Sparks Brothers.
Yeah.
If it was like a group like Gorillaz or Electric Six or iMonster or any of those like I'd be
One
more
Direction.
interested. Fuck off. No, I don't give a shit about them. I feel like I feel like that they've done concert documentaries. I think for One Direction. I think.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, I give it a 7.5 because I think there are some nice little flourishes of direction in there, like
And
a little
now-
bit of animation. So yeah, I give it a
Yeah,
bit more.
and
now,
we move on to Last Night in Soho, and I think we are going to have such a massive disagreement on this film because Harry was telling me he didn't care for it that much.
It's just fucking boring. I was watching it and I'm like,
Wow. When
I was
it's
watching it
fucking boring.
and I'm like, oh, so she can see dead people. Oh, so she dreams about the 60s, and the 60s was not the place she wanted it to be. Oh no! Like this is purely style over substance. It is.
Oh no! Come on, behave.
Oh boy!
The best part of the film is that there is a doctor in this film, and I don't even watch Doctor Who, but there's a doctor.
Oh right, I forgot you, Matt Smith. I thought it meant like I was like, is there a doctor like a GP?
Like a character?
Yeah.
Yeah. So to put into sort of context, I remember this film came out. I didn't see it in the cinema, so I watched it sort of towards the end of 2021. I missed it in the cinema. And prior to seeing it, a lot of people were complaining about it and saying it was terrible, it was shit, it was the worst Edgar Wright film, and I was like, come on, guys, it can't be that bad. And then I watched it, and I was like...
Before you get on to our thoughts, I was kind of in a similar sort of place where the trailers and stuff were coming out, and I wasn't sure if I was going to like it. I was worried that Edgar Wright might fumble.
I didn't really. I saw like some of the marketing material, and I was like, okay, looks fine. I was still excited for it, despite myself, because it's Edgar Wright. You know, I can't.
Oh yeah, I was definitely be like, hey, new Edgar Wright film, can't complain. But I was worried.
And then I watched it, and I was just sort of like,
I did see this.
Yeah, and then I watched it, and I was like, right. So what were the problems people had? Like, it's one of his weaker films. But like, I still was like, this is a good movie. Like, what?
I mean, Harry's gonna be very upset with me because I fucking love
it. Yeah, if I recall correctly, this may have changed. Isn't this your favorite film of the decade so far?
I think it is. Yeah. Right, it's a good film.
It's interesting that it's interesting because I don't hate the film. I just don't. There is just no film to me. I watch it and I'm like it's not a film I'll be rewatching because I watch this. To me, this is Tenet. I can watch it one time through, and then
that's
I know that's why. That's why.
On you.
Come on, stop taking the piss, mate.
This is
Tenet. Be serious for 5 minutes, mate.
I can watch it. And then
Harry, you're a fucking grown-up. Start taking responsibility for yourself.
Sorry, I don't like watching boring films. Tenet's not boring.
Yeah,
Tenet's
Tenet.
just a headache.
Whoa! You just said this film was boring. Oh, you're a...
I mean, Harry.
Sorry, Harry. Can I just ask you, Harry? What's been your favorite film of the decade so far? Just for clarification.
This decade so far?
Yeah, the 2020s.
Oh. I haven't really thought about it.
Oh, I thought.
Well, they're putting you on the spot right now, so you better pick a film. I swear, I will not move on from this. Until you pick a film.
Yeah,
throw some films out. If you've got a few films in mind, just like throw them out there, and then I'll explain why you're wrong. Okay. But like, what is in contention?
I'm thinking some of the Spider-Man films, but brother laughed.
Forget that you've got a heart on for Spider-Man.
Fucking Bullet Train's up there.
Bullet Train. To be fair, Bullet Train isn't boring.
No, but come on. It's not.
I mean, come on.
Come on, mate. Be serious. I swear to God, you're gonna say like Top Gun Maverick or something.
Top Gun was good, but it's not of the decade.
When you were saying like, oh, what's your favorite film? I thought he was gonna say Dune.
Oh, I hate Dune.
I swear to God, fucking good.
I was really worried then, but thank God you don't like it. Good.
Thank God, you reasonable person.
Okay, Spider-Man No Way Home was a huge thing for me, by the way. But I don't think it's Tick Tick Boom was great. Oppenheimer, phenomenal. I think Oppenheimer might be it.
That's right. Barney doesn't like Oppenheimer as much as.
I mean, I like it, but if you're saying that this film is boring, come on, Oppenheimer, that got dull at points.
I'm just going
I
through
don't
the
know
ones
about
that.
that.
They did a bit. Come on.
I don't know.
Oh, the second Borat film was great.
Oh, come on, Harry. I'm at my wits' end here.
No, yeah,
Marnie hates that film. Marnie doesn't like Borat.
Good. Not that good.
no, it's not. It's not nearly as good
I
as
mean,
the first Borat.
I liked it, but it's like it could have been a lot better.
I'm trying to think of
Yeah.
like genuinely.
God.
I don't think. I think Oppenheimer is in the lead, but I don't think we've had enough this decade to have for me to really pick one.
God.
Like I can
God.
tell you my film of last decade.
That's not the question.
Well,
That's not
because
the question.
there isn't a film yet this decade that I really think.
What was your favorite film of the 2010s? Because I'm interested now. Because you've mentioned it, so I need to know.
Anchorman 2.
Oh, come on!
No,
God
Harry.
damn it! I thought you'd pick like a proper film.
No.
I love Anchorman, but come on, mate.
Um,
Oh God.
I
I'm
actually
just
think
asking not to be taken
films released
seriously.
in the
You
last
fucking
decade.
clown.
Oh God.
That's like hard for me. There's not many new films that I really, really do think are phenomenally better than
Oh my
like.
God.
Realistically, though, like my point that to come into this podcast, right? The point of view that I arrive with is that of the common consumer, and not just the common consumer, but arguably someone who rejects film bro consumerism. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I fucking thought The Godfather was a great masterpiece. Okay, that's not something.
It insists upon itself.
It insists upon itself, Lois. You take forever getting in, and I don't even know how I can't even finish the movie. But
I mean, I have no desire to watch The Godfather again.
But-
Like, unironically, I have no desire to watch it ever again.
I really like
terrible.
films for what they provide in enjoyability of watching, like just straight up as a consumer, and where they stand from a narrative perspective. And I feel as if Last Night in Soho lacks in both the quality of like it has very little depth to me from my point of view, and like other than that, like I just
You're making me a very sad little boy today.
I understand that. I don't hate the film. Like it's
We were
still
such good friends at the start of this episode. What happened?
because I love the style, right?
Yeah, you guys were both teaming up on me, telling me I was wrong.
I love the
Now it's
style of the
completely
film.
flipped.
I just feel as if the overall like deeper narrative just isn't for me as a consumer. I like if you like it, you like it. I'm not going to shit on you for liking it. I just think
I've
that
literally gone through the stages of grief while we've been doing this. I've reached acceptance.
I just like the stylization is what brings it up so much for me. It is an Edgar Wright film. The reflections, the lighting, it's beautiful. So like the eyes play such a fucking huge like. But I just the deep story I just don't care about, and it's not like I care about how I do for Shaun of the Dead. That being like, I'm not gonna sit here and act like that this isn't a better film than fucking what's a bad movie? Than Ice Age Collision Course. Ice Age Collision Course. Right, this is probably a better film. But
I mean, if you did say that it was better, I'd call you insane and leave.
it's not better than the first.
Yeah,
one,
I think
Ice Age one
I'd
fucking slaps.
Oh mate, what are you? I'm gonna get up and leave in a minute, mate.
Do you not like the Ice Age films?
No, I'm an adult. I like the first one.
How dare you? How dare you say I'm an adult? When you damn well know that how to like then Kung Fu Panda is the greatest like
No,
animated trilogy.
I like
or,
good animation. Dude, my favorite film of the decade is an animated film. I like proper animation.
Oh yeah, no,
alright?
no,
I don't
no.
like fucking shitty blue sky animation. Actually, can
Oh, yeah, yeah.
What film was that, William? I don't know why I can't.
It's Puss in Boots 2, mate.
Of course.
I've honestly said my piece on Last Night in Soho. It's a 7.
Okay.
It's his worst film, but that doesn't make it a bad film.
Ooh. Okay, you know what?
I don't think
I thought you were gonna give it like a 6 or a 5, and I would have been sad. But okay, I can live with 7.
I don't think it's his worst film.
What's his worst film?
Actually, no.
Fistful
Fistful of Fingers. Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
Oh yeah. Actually, yeah. I just never think of that when you think of Edgar Wright. Like,
yeah, same.
Well, that is true. Yeah, it's his. Yeah. No, I like it. I thought there was a lot of really good stuff.
Let's be happy about this film for a bit now.
I thought Thomas Mackenzie actually was very good.
Love the cast in this film. Diana Rigg, Thomas Mackenzie.
I will say, outside of Thomas and Mackenzie, I could like do without most of the cast. To be honest, I could like take him or leave him. I really have no.
All right, I mean different act. Right, okay. Sorry.
The actors, I don't. They're not bad. I'm just sort of like.
I love Diana Rigg in this. Anya Taylor-Joy, don't like her.
I actually do. Actually, I think Anya Taylor-Joy's actually pretty good. I forgot she was in it. Yeah, no. Actually, I really like Anya Taylor-Joy. I think she's a very good. She's a very good talent.
I'll watch the menu again.
I kind of do because I feel like it was a bit harsh in that film. I gave it a 7, and I feel like it's worth a bit more than that.
Oh, I thought you liked it. Well, I thought you liked it more.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
Matt Smith.
Oh yeah, Matt Smith. I mean, he's there.
Yeah, I don't.
I do like the accent he's doing. He's like, I'm a slightly untrustworthy fella, innit? Same day.
So I'm just having a look at some reviews of Last Night in Soho to see what people think, because this is a very controversial film to a lot of people. Because
on it.
I feel like, is it possible some people were expecting more of a comedy than they were?
I don't know why that would be.
Well, no, I think some people are stupid and they expect a filmmaker. They go into a film being like, "This is what this filmmaker's done before," and so they sort of expect them to keep doing the same thing again and again. And I'm just sort of like, well, so I'm looking at Rotten Tomato score. So it's got a 75% from critics and a 90% with audiences. So there's sort of the classic Rotten Tomatoes divide, as you find. Because you just always find that with Rotten Tomatoes, there's always this sort of very weird divide. Well, to be honest, in general, I'd say the critics are usually more... Well, no, I don't think that's true either. I think critics are also stupid. Because a lot of people didn't like Strays. I thought Strays was fucking great. Strays was surprisingly brilliant for what it is. But I feel like, in general, if I have to look at one, I'll probably listen to a critic more than an audience member, because I think most audiences are kind of not that. Then they're not as film literate generally.
Yeah. And
they're very like, oh, woman in the lead, can't have that, guys. It's illegal. Should be, I mean, I'll say this: Last Night in Soho was in my top 10 of 2021. I do think that does speak to a slightly weak year of film, though. If I'm being completely honest, I don't think 2021 was that great.
Yeah, and on the whole, it was an okay year. But I think the really good shit was really good because I fucking love me this film. I want to talk about nostalgia because we're bookending this episode with films about nostalgia. I really like that as a narrative theme. As quite a nostalgic person myself. I just think this film does a really, good job of, it made me feel nostalgic for I hate, this is something that I hate people saying when they're like, oh, it really transported me, this film, oh my god, I felt like I was there. Yeah. And, I didn't quite have that, but certainly the film made me be like, oh damn, the fucking 60s, dude. And then, that was quickly shattered by all of the men being predatory.
Oh yeah, that really wasn't a big fan of that, to be honest. As a narrative, like
Um,
element, I get the like, I get what it's doing. It's just that kind of thing just very much rubs me the wrong way in
it's
general,
another thing that's quite difficult. Yeah, it's
and I
difficult.
would argue that it doesn't need to really be portrayed in film. I don't think it's not the. It could have been worse. I will say, like, it's not the most like overt. Like, it doesn't really show us anything. It's more implied.
Yeah, oh, I love the bit where like Matt Smith is like pimping her out. Then like Thomasin McKenzie, well, he is. Like
Just
so
the way you phrase that. Oh, I love that bit. I love the bit.
you didn't let me get to the bit where I was talking about.
Mm.
When like Thomasin McKenzie walks into a room and she's just lying on the bed, and then she like the money's on the bedside table or whatever. It's like, oh shit, she did it. Ooh.
I
That's a really,
think
I
this
think that's
film.
really well
It's.
done, implied bit of kind of oh no sort of horror.
I think this film is very good at creating an atmosphere.
Yes, yes, it is.
It creates a very unnerving, and I would say this is more that this is arguably scarier than Shaun of the Dead in the sense of like
Mm,
I think because I don't know because some of this feels like this could like the whole stuff where he's pimping her out like
yeah,
oh yeah that's a thing that happens whereas zombies it's kind of like oh well zombies aren't real like
yes.
I think it and don't you don't say that please I
I
don't want
don't
to
think
deal with king zombies all right I don't want to deal with that although there
so.
are actually parasites that like actually create like they bring dead animals back to life so
Oh yeah.
you know this world's
We're next,
we
gang.
just shouldn't
We're next.
we shouldn't we shouldn't live here we should not live on this world because
Maybe you
once
shouldn't be living here.
yeah I think this film does a very good job I think this is also a very well I do actually probably one of the best bits of the film actually is the when Thomas Mackenzie she's in the flashback and it's
Mm.
alternating between her and Anya Taylor-Joy like dancing I think it is
Yeah, oh, that's
with
a
Matt
great.
Smith
Have you seen the
and
behind the
like
scenes stuff on that?
I feel like I did at the I definitely have seen
It's
it
so cool seeing like a wide shot of how they did all of the ducking in and out and in one take. It was sick.
yeah, it's a. I
Proper
think
filming
again, I think this is a very well made film on a technical level,
and delivered.
like costume wise and production wise. I think it's like it's a it's there's a little Bond tribute, like it's Thunderball, isn't it? That's playing
Oh
in
yeah, yeah,
like a
Thunderbolt.
cinema.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Edgar Wright loves his Bond films, as a lot of people do. Yeah, I think yeah, there were definitely bits where I was like, oh, it's a bit scarier than I expected. Like, I'm not saying I find the film scary. I'm just like, oh,
It can be a bit unnerving, I think. There's
yeah,
one particular shot where she's really kind of starting to a bit manic. It's worth mentioning actually that I think her mother was like a schizophrenic and killed herself. Um,
yeah, her
and,
mum's,
and we just get a shot
yeah,
once the dreams start getting really fucking intense and she's kind of losing it a bit, and there's just a shot of her sat in the bath with a pair of like fabric scissors.
mm.
No, the
Yeah,
dark
I think,
implication there.
yeah, I
I
think this is,
I think Edgar Wright does the kind of films that he's done that touch on mental illness stuff. I think he's doing a very good job of that.
yeah. Like, I think Edgar Wright. I feel like he's maturing more as a filmmaker. I feel like,
Yeah,
and he's sort of becoming yeah, he's sort of tackling more stuff. Yeah, not making sort of like big comedy. Not like he's not making comedies anymore. He's sort of moving towards more adult orientated stuff. And I think Baby Driver was sort of the beginning of that.
yeah. I'd say. I mean, I'd say it's sort of the
I mean, the
world's
World's
end
End
sort of
kind of
set.
is a
Start of
bit,
that.
but
That's kind
that's
of 50-50, split between old Edgar Wright and new Edgar Wright, and then Baby Driver
yeah,
when he started doing a proper.
yeah. Um, I mean, I do like Last Night in Soho. Don't get me wrong. I just feel like it doesn't quite do it all for me in a way that, again, as I sort of said before, I feel like post Hot Fuzz, his films have sort of been getting weaker and weaker. as time has gone on.
Mm.
I can't, like, I'll still see whatever he makes because he still makes like really solid.
yeah.
Like, I'm giving this an 8 out of 10, just sort of.
That's respect. I mean,
but
I should maybe rewatch this film because I don't think I can justify my rating for it. I remember sitting down and watching it, and I just loved it. I had a great time with it. So 9.5 maybe should be a 9, but what can I say? In case to the thicker of our listeners who haven't picked up on it, I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
I thought that was throwing shade at fat people, and I was like, "Come on, man." I might be
Nick Frost.
To all of Harry's friends listening.
Oh, actually, not even fat. Hey, I'm the one who knocks. But yeah. Okay. Well, I just checked back into that conversation. But great to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've basically said I've given my piece on Edgar Wright as
there's only so many times I can say that I love him.
Yeah, same. I mean, like, even when we were negative, we were still giving him like 8s and 9s.
Yeah. The worst of Edgar Wright is still like pretty
better than
good.
a lot of films.
The worst of Edgar Wright is still better than the best of M. Night Shyamalan.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know.
I say Unbreakable is. Come on.
I'd say Unbreakable. I'd say The Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
I'll probably throw Split in there, and then after that, yeah, Shyamalan's and I love Shyamalan. Don't get me wrong. I do think Shyamalan is a good. I was gonna say great. I don't think he's quite great. He's a good director, though.
He's a fucking weird director. He's inconsistent.
He's definitely a director.
He's one of the directors of this century.
He got an Oscar nomination, and Edgar Wright hasn't. Like, Shyamalan is a multi-time Oscar-nominated director.
Just Edgar wrong.
I'm throwing finger guns.
It's about time we Edgar left.
I was trying to figure out one for that.
So thank you all for joining us for this week's
wait,
episode.
no. Unfortunately, if you want to find a transcript of this episode, unfortunately, we don't have enough time to Edgar Write it.
Yeah, he got there. You definitely got there.
All right. Well, I don't know about you guys. I'm about to go drink 12 pints, and in between, I'll have a cornetto in between each pint. So
I'm gonna go and drive over a baby. No.
I'm gonna go.
No, actually, and then after I've had my 12 pints and my cornettos, I'm gonna fuck off up the Model Village. All right. So catch you later.
Edgar, all right, guys. Have a good Edgar night.
Scott Pilgrim versus the world.
I'm trying. What other references can I throw in there?
I don't know, but I had a lot more last night in Soho.
Tonight I'm going to be eating a fistful of fish fingers.
Fishful.
Oh, guys, I gotta go change my shirt. I got red on it. I got red on me.
Okay, it's time to leave.
It's time.
Okay.
It's not just the world's end; it's the podcast episode's end.
Yeah. So thank you all for listening to this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed. It's 2-part retrospective. Harry didn't say a whole lot because he's sick. So he's trying not to.
I try to aim away from the mic when I cough.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you all for listening to this week's episode.
We're ending it now.
All right. Okay. Goodbye. Thank you.
Bye.
Love you all. Mwah.